me and you totally different.
I did the same thing. After their wedding, we had to go back up to the house because I had a few more stuff I had to get from the house. I had to get my TV because you have to have that, I had to go get up my few stuff, and I remember in my room, and I started crying. I had my wedding makeup on. I cried my eyelashes off, and Andrew was like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "This is the last time I'm going to be home." And he said, "I thought you were having like second thoughts." You were like, I was like, "No, it was just, I hadn't thought about it at all until that moment." I remember crying, eyelashes stuck on my cheeks. It was a mess. So I had the same feeling,
I don't know. I mean, I liked you. Don't get me wrong.
But then I just waited a couple years and bought the house.
Yes,
so now I'm back home.
Yeah, same thing.
Turns out it was just the house, not y'all.
Well, you kids were different in that respect. I mean, Morgan was like a wild banshee. But I mean, when you left and you had a plan and you got all tricked old Andrew and everything come together, okay? Colson was so hard to get to leave.
Yeah,
it was really.
Well, he had his own little apartment down there. He had a pool table.
Yeah.
Why would he leave?
He just wouldn't leave, And we kept trying to tell him to leave.
He had a pool table in his own entrance.
Right.
You weren't doing a good job.
But he wouldn't leave. I remember finally we had a house for him. He had his own house, and we said, "You need to go to your house. You need to leave," and because he was the last one.
But it's okay because I went down with him. He went down, and about a little less than a year later, I moved into the house next door. So he just was waiting on me. Yeah, we did everything together.
It was just, really sad. But for the way we got him to leave finally, because Colson is a procrastinator, our son is. He would put everything.
Just wait, you don't have to do that right now. We don't need to do it right now.
When the rapture takes place, he'll be the last one off the ground. Yeah. And we'd say, "You need to go." He said, "Well, it's close to the holidays, and I don't want to do a lot of stuff in the holidays." And then it would be after the holidays, and he would say, "Well, it's spring.
It's spring.
You know what I mean? I don't want to move right now. We don't go." Then it's summer. It was too hot.
It's too hot to move boxes.
Finally, one day, we called and got the power turned on. We got the cable turned on, water turned on in his house, everything turned on. And then we come to him and sit down. I said, "Now listen, son, you need to leave our home. We want you not to be here anymore. We love you." You know what I mean? And we really, but I mean, you're the last one.
And you let him take my cat when he went.
Yeah, we would have gave him anything.
Took my cat.
It wouldn't make no difference.
The cat never loved me, but still, it was mine. As soon as we got the cat, it ran to Colson's room, and it was like, "This is my human forever."
It did. What happened to that cat?
Did they give it just because Chris had allergies?
Yeah.
Who got it? I can't remember who got it. No. They shaved the cat. They shaved the cat, right?
Yeah.
That's a correct memory, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
They tried to bathe the cat. They tried to shave the cat. They tried everything they could to keep the cat, but they couldn't.
It didn't make no sense. Chris said that they always bathe cats, but I never heard of bathing a cat in my whole life.
I have a cat, and I've never bathed him. Actually, you know what? I did last year. I did give him a bath because I thought, well, let's give it a try. He hated it.
Chris said they bathe them all the time. I've never heard of bathing. But anyway, Colson.
They're self-cleaning.
We got they're like them ovens.
I mean, you may need to wash their face every now and then, but other than that, it's like the microwave. You just shut it and you let it take care of itself. Don't listen, Mom.
When he finally did leave us, okay? And, just did leave us because, and it wasn't because he was a problem. It's just because at that point in our life, I wanted to, and he would, if I come in, he would give me the remote to the TV.
Yeah.
He said, "You can watch whatever you want." And I said, "But I don't want to have to choose. I want my shoes to be in the same place when I leave.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to come in and say, 'Hey, give me the remote.' But I have to do that with your mom now."
Yeah, you
but
do.
I mean,
Are you getting her a house with the power cut on? It's too cold. She can't move. It's winter.
The thought has crossed my mind. But I don't know, man. I think about stuff growing up. I think about the things that you kids have been through and the stages in life you've been through and how much fun we've really had.
Yeah.
We could get how blessed beyond measure, out of our control, the things in our life and that have been done and taken care of for us.
Yeah.
Gee.
A lot of stuff.
Gee, I don't know. All right. Do you remember a time when you felt truly supported and encouraged?
Oh, I got you on that one.
But how did it, in affecting your confidence, is that what brought you to the point, this confidence that you have?
Yeah, I mean, you and Mom, there was never a second thought of, will I be, because it wasn't like, oh, my parents are here. But Duh, they're here.
Right.
Duh, they came.
Right.
Because you and Mom were always, and then I've carried that over, I think, with Carter too, of just love and support of I'm here, no duh. You know, it's
Right.
not a big deal. Like,
Right.
and I've always felt that way. Anything weird I had to do, y'all backed me up.
Right.
Even with when I moved, if I needed something, y'all were there. When we moved again, you were there. When we moved again, you were there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even down to the night that I went to the hospital and had Carter.
Yeah.
You and Mom went with us. You know
Right.
what I mean? We did. It wasn't even like, oh, if you can, if it's not too
Right.
much trouble. I've always known
Right.
I'm supported. I've always known.
You know, and I think it's what we don't support our kids when they're plumb idiots, and you kids weren't. You were always, I never had no big issue.
No.
The peculiar thing about you, though, was so different than these other two
Peculiar.
kids, was you would set your mom and I straight sometimes. You would leave us notes on our pillow
You're welcome.
of what we needed to change.
You're welcome.
It was beautiful. I mean, I wish I really kept those notes.
That's how I roll now.
I mean, it was just, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I tell people about it sometimes. I say, Dale, whenever I'm talking to a friend of mine who has a daughter.
Advice book.
Yeah, has a daughter, I say, now listen, I had one that used to set us straight all the time, but now it's okay. They love you. They're there. But it's just different.
You've got to hear the review to know how you're doing, okay? And I tell Andrew all the time whenever he tells me, oh, don't do this, don't fuss him. I say, hey, if you wanted a better review from the audience, you should have put on a better show,
Exactly.
okay? The review is the review. You don't get a fuss about it, you know? And that's one thing with, like, Carter. I'm very, I don't know, I guess I'm a hippie new age person of this type of way. And I don't know if it's just because he's an only child or whatever it is, but I very much listen to, like, okay, yeah, you know what, Carter, I messed up there. Or, yes, listen, I'm getting grouchy and I'm getting carried away. I try to be willing to
Right.
admit, yeah, I'm getting out of pocket. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a minute,
good.
but
Yeah.
I'm also very forward with him.
Right.
Like, we tell him sometimes, Carter, please fight the teenager in you. Fight
Right.
it. Fight it right now. It's happening. Because we make it a very open thing. We don't really,
Right.
yeah, he's just 13, so I know I got plenty of years left. But we're very open about the emotions in our
Right.
house. Like, you know, we're like,
Yeah.
hey, are you really, does the world really terrible and awful, or you just maybe need a
Right.
snack? You know, like, we're very
Yeah.
upfront to emotions in our house. Talk about it. Like,
You didn't get that from me.
No.
I wasn't upfront emotionally.
no,
about
y'all
stuff
are very
that.
much like, if you're in a bad mood, go to your room and deal with it and come back
Yeah.
out when you're not. You
Shut
know what I
up.
mean? Like,
you know, I guess it's the era.
and
that
it
we
was
were
normal.
in.
It wasn't like then I was like, oh, my parents are oppressing my emotions. No, it was just normal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But now I'm like, no, you don't get to leave because you're mad. Sit down on this chair until we're
Right.
not mad anymore. Like, that's how we roll. Like, you do not leave a room.
Yeah.
And also, it's not like we ever leave a room. You ever
Right.
heard the saying of you a bedroom parent or a living room parent?
Right.
We're living room people, okay? If we're all home, we're all together. We're
Yeah.
very much a unit, very, you know,
Yeah.
we're together. If we're home and we're not all three in the same room, we're hollering for the other person. Where are you at? Why are you
Right.
not in here? What's
Right.
wrong? Like, we're always
Yeah.
together. Like,
And I think I don't know. I think about these. I think about coming up. Here's a question I was thinking about. Okay, are you things from your own upbringing that you intentionally tried to carry over to your parenting, or things that you choose to do differently?
things that I carry a lot of stuff over because of our friends group. Me and Andrew are very much we're old school, we're traditional. We call spade a spade, a sin a sin. We don't mix no words with that stuff, you
Right.
know? And so I carried that over. I remember you and Mom used to always tell us, like, you are who you hang out with.
Right.
And I was talking to Andrew about it. I said, I when I was younger, I felt like that meant, oh, if you're with people that are not good, then people are going to think you're not good because it's going to hurt your reputation. Like, that was all it was just
Right.
appearance-wise. If you're hanging out with bad, you look bad. But as I got older, I started to learn it's not just you look that way, it gets in you. And like another famous quote of Mom was garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
It's the same thing. If you're around negative people, people
Yeah.
that are cussing every word, it becomes so normal to you and it gets into you and it gets normalized to you. And so we're very harsh with Carter to, like, we're not going to normalize sin. We're not going to normalize this. Know who you are, know whose
Right.
you are, hang out with the right group because it's not just the way it looks. You become like your friends,
Right.
And praise the Lord, so far, he's done very good with his friend choices. They're very good kids,
Right.
You are who you're with. And that's one thing that I've definitely carried over. I've put that into him repeatedly.
Yeah.
Something I do different. I guess we do. We talk about the emotions all the time. We're
Right.
very much, and not to like ad nauseum of like, and how does it make you feel? We're not like a therapy session, but if like somebody's extra grouchy, we're like, hey, you're extra grouchy. Why are you grouchy? Talk about it. Get it? Because then you're laughing
Right.
by the end of it, and or I can say, hey, I'm going to be in a bad mood today. Get out of the way. Like,
Right.
we address them.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't turn the lights on Saturday morning and scream and yell and make him wake up early. I don't do that, so that's different. You used to do that to Colson more than me.
He still hates it. He still hates it.
But other than that, we're very traditional. I don't think there's anything from my childhood where I'm like, I'll never do that with my kids.
Right.
There was a lot that I wanted to emulate.
Right.
The not normal childhood and things like that.
All right. You know, when I think about, you grew up with one of the challenges that some people run.
See, she's coming in singing.
Janice
now,
used to sing that song.
I do sing that to Carter on school mornings. Let's rise and shine and give God the glory.
Yeah.
And then you have to clap really loud. I do. I mean, it's probably not a good thing to bring your child to wrath over that song.
It's really bad.
It's a good time.
You grew up the daughter of a pastor more than the Colson big lump in it, but
Yeah.
I mean, but you grew up a child of a pastor and a minister, and that was a big,
a church pastor too.
Yeah.
That's a different. There's different vibes of that,
Right.
and preachers' kids are a different breed. We're just different.
It really, what do you think? How did it make you stronger?
I would say it made me stronger because growing up in church, you get to see a lot of different things. You know what I mean? You see the good people and you see the people coming to help. And I seen you and Mom help a lot of people that other people would not. I mean, we used to have drunks on the steps of the church, and most people would have told them to leave, but I saw you tell them, well, just move over so we can get up the stairs. You know what I mean? So I saw that of like, being kind to people most people wouldn't be kind to. It doesn't hurt you to be kind to them. But I also saw the bad part. I saw the gossip. I saw people come up and say mean things to you, and I just saw you go like, that's okay, bud, that's all right. And so I really tried to, I even tell Andrew that it don't hurt you nothing for them to feel the way they feel or for them to be in a bad mood. You can just say, how about that, and move on about your day because it doesn't affect you, And I really learned that from you, Mom, because there was times I saw people say stuff to you and I was like, let me just get up from here. You say, what did my daddy, but I watched you just be like, and I was like, what's wrong with you? It wasn't until I got older where I realized it wasn't something that's so outlandish. There's no point to respond to. You know what I mean? And I saw that a lot growing up. You know,
I think the situation I've shared with some other pastors before is when we're anointed to do something, okay, but your family's not. In my respect, I don't believe they are. And when you're anointed for somebody to take in a little abuse and stuff like that, I wouldn't let nobody hit me in the nose.
No.
But when you're
you took the verbal very well.
Yeah, I mean the verbal part I could take, but your family takes it a little different, and they would take it to heart, and I think that's. And I'll share with you what I've shared, and I shared this with Steve Branch, and I've shared with Barry Absher. I never wanted you kids to go into the ministry.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you had, or God called you for it, if He does tomorrow, I'm there for you. We'll get us a tent and go on the road. Okay. Oh, glory to God! We'll get us a bus.
Yeah.
But
now it sounds like.
But I didn't, because. And I'm not whining about no kind of abuse. I didn't feel like I was abused, but you felt like there was a lot of times that, I guess what you felt like is the human part, you felt like you weren't appreciated. And that sort of bothered you a little bit. And it bothered that human part, not that God part of you.
Yeah.
But that anointed part, you felt like you weren't appreciated because you can't not feel that at times. And I never wanted you guys to feel like you weren't appreciated and you weren't supported.
Yeah.
Okay? And when I looked at you, I wanted you all to serve the Lord, or I would say, God, get them ready and take them home. But the thing about it is I didn't want to, I never really said, oh, God, call my children into the ministry.
Yeah.
And I'm just being honest, that's the way I felt.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think it taught me to serve without an expectation. Like, you were doing all that for the church, and like we were doing it right alongside you.
Right.
But there was Pastor's Appreciation Day, but there wasn't Pastor's Family Appreciation Day. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it didn't matter. You know what I mean? We were doing it because we were supposed to, and it's the right thing. And I think back there was a couple years ago a time I was volunteering, and I was putting massive amounts of my own resources, time, everything into it.
Right.
And at the time, it felt like I was being appreciated, valued, supported. And then leadership changed, and just like that, all that went with it. All of a sudden, I wasn't doing squat, and it didn't matter. And I was like, it took me a while to reset, but then I had to go, you know what? I can feel proud of what I did.
Right.
no matter what anybody says, no matter how ugly they got afterwards, I feel proud of what I did. I know I did good work, and I know I was surrounded by people that felt like I did good work. Even through the ugly and the yuck, you have to find the good people in it. And I think that's what it taught me, was to serve without the expectation of here, because your reward doesn't come from God. From here, it comes from God. I call it fool's gold whenever you want reward from men. It comes from God. You got to serve without it, and that's a hard place to get to, because it's real. That's real Bible-y to say your reward's in heaven. Do not look for it. It really is real life, because if you do everything and then you turn around and you're like, anybody can tell me a good job? I'll just wait here till somebody tells a good job. You're going to be disappointed, and then you're going to disheartened. You're going to be like, well, I'm not going to do a good job because nobody cares, nobody wants it. That's not. Are you proud of you? Go on. Yeah. Don't look around for it, because it's not what it's about. Sometimes it will, and that's nice when it does. Right. But
I think when you find your strength in obedience, I've had several times in my life that I've had things that if I find it not in the response of others, but in the obedience to God.
Yeah.
And what I looked at is I could take the lack of appreciation, but I didn't want you all to go through that.
Yeah.
And so when I looked at it and I thought about it in my heart, and again, if God called you, He'd be the one who called you.
Yeah.
But I didn't want you to feel unsupported or lack of appreciated, and I just didn't want that. Now, I'm a believer in this with children. I believe there should be a certain amount of struggle in their life in order for them to be strong. Okay, and I've said that with you kids. I mean, it
shapes you.
I want you to have that. When it comes to you and Andrew and y'all's life and what you do, you know what you have to do with your finances, with your family, with raising your children. But I've tried to let you kids free range and handle that stuff. Because if I step in, then you don't grow and you don't get strong and you don't get smarter. I've got to let you have your own struggles in order to be strong.
That's what we've talked. Me and Andrew talked about that before. He's talked about, we should have done this, I said, but we did what we did with what we knew. That's all you can do. You do what you do, what you know, and then when you know better, you do better. But you can't ever know better if you don't take the test, learn the lesson, study the material. You know what I mean? If you never come up against it, you never have a chance to go, oh, hey, hold on, I've been here before. I made that mistake. Let's do this time. It's sucky to be like, you got to mess up to learn. But you do kind of have to sometimes. You have to at least come up against it to be able to make the right choice.
Like buying vehicles.
Oh,
okay, I mean,
that's not my lesson.
If we could learn early on in life, you know what I mean, to wear it out. You know what I mean, to wear out.
Till the wheels fall off.
See, but we go through it. Your mom and I used to when they come out with something new, if it was a caravan or something they come out with, your mom and I we'd go buy a vehicle, we'd buy this, buy that, and we laughed about. We talked about regrets the other day. I said, what are some regrets? She said, I regret we bought so many vehicles, and because we could have been thousandaires if we hadn't bought so many vehicles, But it was so fun growing up. Oh, yeah.
It was so fun.
We had everything.
It was so fun.
It would just,
We had the dune buggy. And then you had the Army Jeep.
Right. Real Army Jeep.
Real Army Jeep.
Not
had
no
all
fake.
The stuff on
yeah,
it.
not no fake Army
Jeep.
Jeep.
Like the ammo and everything.
I mean, I've had so many Jeeps.
It's not a regret. That's a memory. It was a memory you were buying, like the three-wheeler.
Yeah. I've had everything.
See, it's a memory, And like I did the same thing. Like we bought a camper.
Yeah, right.
And now we're a camper family. Everybody, loves a camper. I am the black sheep of the family with a camper. I didn't want a camper. I hated a camper. Nothing to do with it. We had to live in Pennsylvania for Andrew to work, and it was just the only way. Right. Everybody had a camper, so we bought one. So if I talk about a regret, I could not. I hated that camper. I'm so glad it's gone now. And it was every sign said, don't buy that camper. Right. Beautiful camper, but I hated it. And we just didn't use it enough. And then when we weren't there, it was in the way. Yeah. But I can look back to like memories we made in the camper and like stuff we did. So there's regrets, but there's also like, well, I wouldn't have had this if I didn't do that. And now I can firmly say I don't want a camper. Right. Like I learned the lesson from the camper. Right. I've learned my lesson. I firmly do not want another camper.
One of the things about the camper too, I know the camper y'all had some issues. Okay.
Just a few.
So,
just a few.
And one of the things Andrew always wanted was if we could pull it up on the hill and let the wind blow it and total it out and roll it down the hill. Okay, he always wanted to. He said, "I want to park this camper where the wind will blow it away and tear it up."
Yeah.
So, and it never would happen.
No.
The wind would blow everything else. And 50 feet from that camper, I had one totaled because of the wind, but it
So
never
mad.
would. It never would.
I remember when you called me and you told me it blew the camper. I was like, "Is it like total?" And you were like, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, lucky." Like that was just my first response. Was like, "Ah," which wasn't for you because you wanted your camper, but I was so jealous.
Yeah.
And mine was just sitting there
I know
like,
Andrew.
"I'm still here."
Andrew said that camper's still there.
Still there, still there. They had all its issues, but it just wouldn't go away. It grew mushrooms.
Yeah, it was
At
a
one
strange
point,
camper.
and there was no water leak. You think, okay, well, there was water. It was always dry. There was
Right.
no water, just mushrooms. And you could pick the mushroom out of the carpet, and another mushroom would be there the next morning.
So it was a regret.
Yeah.
It was a regret.
Some mushroom regret is what it was, okay?
Okay. All right. If you could speak to your younger self, or if you could speak to your younger self, what would be some things as you look at challenges or some things in life you said, man, if I could speak back and tell Kelsey, hey, Kelsey, watch out for this and do this a little bit different. Is there anything?
I mean, I guess it would just be like what you and Mom told me. I wish I would have realized it sooner. The company you keep, the friends you keep. If that friend feels like they're off and they're not, then probably no. Just your gut, your instinct is usually
Right.
right. You know, you don't need that friend. It's okay. They're not, and it sounds snooty, snotty, whatever to say, but there's certain people that are not your caliber of people.
Right.
They're just not. And it's just the way it is. They're not, and whether that be they're not at the point in your life that you are,
Right.
maybe one day they will be, they're
Right.
not your caliber right now. Move on. You know, and everybody's a season. Like you've said that so many times growing up. To everything is a season. It's really true. There is friendships are for seasons, friend groups are for seasons,
Right.
things like that. It's a real thing.
Yeah, and people say that friends for everything, but I think people come into your life for a season, and they
Enjoy
come
while
in,
they're
they
there.
come in, enjoy them, and they're with
The
them.
important thing too is not to look at just because when the friendship's over, be like, well, it was always a terrible, and they were no good.
Right.
No, like I've had friends that I'm not friends with now, but it doesn't mean I look back on our whole friendship and I'm like, that was terrible, and they're not. No,
Right.
great times, awesome times, wonderful,
Right.
packed memories, but we've grown apart. You're doing yours, I'm doing mine. God bless you, Godspeed. But you don't have to mingle back in. You don't have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, that is. It's. I don't know. It's funny when you think about that people will come into your life, and then there's some people you think are really neat, but then after you get to fooling with them a little while, you think this is a ding dong. You know what I mean?
That's
This
like the
person's
situation where I was talking about like volunteering. Like I had people that I worked alongside every single day. You know what I mean? Like, and
Right.
I thought this is the best person I've ever met.
Right.
Like, how are you such a good person? Like, you are an inspiration. This is amazing. And then it was like I was looking at him with the side lamp cut on,
Right.
and somebody came in the room and put the overhead light on, and it was like, ooh,
Yeah.
no, you are a
Yeah.
mess. You know, like that's what happened. You know, and I can still look back and know that I did learn valuable things, and I can look at that. But when that overhead light comes on, and you look at people, and
Yeah.
the harsh light, that fluorescent light comes on, all of a sudden, ooh,
Yeah.
no, I can see clearly.
But I think though you got there's a part of you that's similar to me with people. We're very long suffering, and there's people that will come into our life that we that we'll brag on and feel like they're really something else, and we do that and we go along with them. And
Yeah.
and your mom says I make excuses for Charles Manson.
do?
But I mean I just do. I mean I don't know. I really like to go out a long ways with people sometimes and give them a little bit of rope and try to work with them. I try to take my foot off their neck and let them breathe when other people are trying to choke them out.
See, there's
Yeah.
some ways though like that, like growing up, that's one thing I tell Andrew all the time that you did. You would make excuses for people and be nice to people. Sometimes that it was to the point of it was like,
Right.
Dad, we're done here, you know? So I usually go into things of like, you're gonna have to prove to me that I like you, that you're a good person. You know, like I go into things negative and then you can come up, but we're
Right.
not gonna start here and then go down. Like, cause
Right.
I watched you so many times where it was like, Dad, that person's not good. No, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh, well, they just had a hard time. And that's true sometimes, but sometimes the hard time,
Yeah.
what else I've told you before, the hard times they put on themselves.
Right.
You know, the hard life.
I know.
It was because
I
they
know.
chose bad things and made their life hard. Yes, there's people who are victims of things, and sometimes you're a
Right.
victim of your own self. Like,
Own ignorance.
your own stupid choices.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone has it every now and then,
Yeah.
but it's the ones who have their whole life being a victim of
Right.
their own choice, where I'm like, that sandpaper person part of me comes out, and I'm like, no, you know?
I know it. I had a guy, well, I had a guy got out of jail several times, and I got him out of jail several times, and got him new teeth one time. I done some things one time, and I had several experiences with him. But there were several fascinating things that were fascinating to me because I just assumed. One time he had borrowed a paint sprayer off of me, a big Wagner paint sprayer, and then he went back to jail over some things, and then he got out of jail. And he called me, and he said, I got something I think you can use that you'd be interested in. And I said, sure. Well, he come in with that paint sprayer that he borrowed from me before he went to jail. And he said,
You should have kept it long.
he said, man, this is a good paint sprayer. He said, it's really something. And told me how long you had it and where you got it from. And I knew where he got it from me. Okay. But anyway, so he priced it to me, like $100 or something like that. And he said, I'll take $100 for it. And I said, well, okay. So I gave him $100 for it. And so your mom said, wasn't that your paint sprayer? I said, yeah. She said, you just bought it back. I said, yeah, but I gave almost $500 for it the first time I bought it. So this is a deal.
It's broke in now, too.
This is a deal, and I bought it off of him, but I was fascinated. And then he went back to jail again. I took him to Mexico one time with me between going to jail.
These are the stories.
Heck of a preacher, but he just wasn't right, and he had multiple personalities. And
one of them was a good preacher.
Most of them were bad.
One of them was a convict.
Yeah, he was
with the bad.
Yeah, but he come back, and he got out of jail. Come back. He said, he was a gypsy. He was a half gypsy. So I let him live in one of our houses, the one that I live in now. Okay?
No, it was the one that I moved into.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, anyway, I moved him in a house. Oh, yeah, it was. I moved him in a house and bought his groceries, and his hair dyed, and got him all, anyway. So he said, if I had...
In the background to all this, your whole entire family was going, what
they're all
you doing?
So anyway, I'm just trying my best. So anyway, he said, if I had one of those asphalt sealers, I could really make a lot of money. We could do good together. He said, we could. I said, well, okay. So I bought one of them big tandem with 1,000-tank asphalt sealer, and I bought a pickup truck, Chevrolet pickup truck, to pull it with. And
I feel like I blocked this part out.
Letting him use it. Well, about 4 or 5 months in, I hadn't really made money or nothing like that. He disappeared with my truck and my trailer and all of his clothes.
Who saw that coming?
So he's gone. So I thought, I done got out of jail 4 or 5 times and went and seen him in prison. You know what I mean? Put money on his book. Okay, and so anyway, he called me.
You're one of those women who are in that relationship where they're like, why won't she leave him?
So he called me up. He called me up from wherever he was, and he said, I got the truck, and, I want to apologize. I said, here's the deal. I said, let me do this. Give me your address, and I'm going to send you the title to the truck and the asphalt sealer, and I'm going to give them to you.
Does he still have them?
But I never want to see you again. I said, here's the deal. I said, I feel like I've done my duty, and God bless you. And, then he got telling me what a rascal I was, and I said, now some of that's true. Not all of it's true. All the bad things you say about me are not true. But I said, I am a little rough around the edges. Not all of that, though.
All of it.
But I said, so he gave me his address, and I sent him the title, sent him everything. I said, I just never want to see you again.
See, that's one of those stories like I'm talking about, growing up in church and seeing the way people would just snap and go off on you over something, and you would just be like, oh, how about that? That's okay, buddy. It's okay. And I'm sitting there going,
I just wanted to be done.
What? Like, I can see that now, that it wasn't worth a response. You know what I mean? Just to be out of it. But growing up,